Here's the Kia scouting report.
Ryan, one of the things that the White Sox like to do against Zach, we know he likes to establish his fastball early, so they swing early at the fastball. So I think Zach needs to go more off speed on first pitch to kind of keep him off his fastball until he can find the ins and outs of it on the inside corner, outside corner, keep it out of the middle of the plate. And he doesn't walk guys, so they're going to be ready to swing. You know, no walks allowed in the last 17 and 2/3 innings. And Jermaine Dye has 3 career home runs against Zach, so he'd be a good guy to start off with a changeup or an off-speed curveball to get ahead.
Well, Zach should be used to this by now. Big crowds coming out to watch him. He jokes, of course, that, well, every time I take them out, it's Fireworks Friday, and that's the reason they're really out here. Defense behind Greinke tonight. DeJesus, Meyer, and Guillen in the outfield. Hernandez starts at third. First time in his career he has started there. He has played there before with Pena, Callaspo, and Butler. And Miguel Olivo, who has been behind the plate for 15 of Zach's 16 starts. And they've got the signs ready to go. Hoping to add a lot of Ks at the end of the ZAC. Strike one on Scott Podsednik. 1 for 4 with an RBI last night. Pena, great play from his knees, not in time. So the only thing that hurt the Royals there was Podsednik's speed.
Well, you're right, Ryan, and only speed can prevent a great play like that by Tony Pena. I mean, he did an outstanding job, you know, staying with that ball, and he got to his feet quickly and really just stayed on his knees and just let it go. But that speed by Podsednik really made that play close at first base.
And now has 12 stolen bases at first. And Jason Nix at the plate. Hit a home run off of Bruce Chen last night. And finished with 2 hits. Podsednik running. Olivo's throw. Outstanding. Not even close. That might be the first time in baseball history, or at least since I've been watching baseball, that a base stealer aborted the idea, or at least tried to go back to first base after sliding.
Well, he looked like he felt he stopped short and he wanted to get the run down and go back the other way, but Miguel Olivo really had a catch and release on that ball.
Miguel saying, Zach, have you ever seen that before? No, never. Now, I've seen guys break and stop, still on their feet, turn around and try and go back, but a slide and then head back to first base.
Well, Podsednik was looking in like he thought it might have been a hit and run, but he looked in a long time, and when he went into his slide, Miguel Olivo put that throw right on his shoe top. There just was no way for him to get in there around that tag.
This is the 4th start already for Zach against the White Sox. He won his first 2, dominated in his first 2, throwing a combined 15 shutout innings. And then his 3rd start against the White Sox, the Royals lost the game. Zach took a no decision, allowing 3 earned runs in 7 innings. Slow curveball has popped up. And Butler over from first for the 2nd out. A cool night, at least as far as what we would expect on July the 3rd. 77 degrees. There was quite a bit of rain earlier this morning. Now just partly cloudy. 7-11 game time. Time and temp brought to you by the parking spot. Easy to spot, easy to park. The parking spot at KCI. So it should be a great night to pitch, as opposed to it being 97 in early July. Jermaine 0 for 3 with a walk last night. That snapped a 9-game hitting streak. But he is one of the White Sox hitters that is hot at the moment. The offense as a whole is swinging the bats well. They've won their last 6 games. and outscoring their opponents over that stretch 41-17.
Well, the White Sox got some great hitters in that lineup, Brian, and you know it's going to be only a matter of time before they really got themselves straightened out.
Got a fastball up, and Dye with the White Sox second hit of the inning. So runner at first with 2 down.
Well, this is what we look at here, Ryan. Zach missed the spot right there. Oliva wanted that ball down on the outside corner, and Zach had to run back out over the middle of the plate, and Jermaine Dye was waiting for it.
So Dye at first, and now Jim Thome. Thome a couple of hits last night, including a double, and scored a run. It's a little surprising to see some of the numbers for the White Sox against Zach, especially after what he has done to Chicago this year. But look at his career ERA against the White Sox before this year, 7.25, and then 1.23 this season. So this was a nightmare matchup for him before 2009.
Well, I think it all goes back to his fastball command, and they were one of the teams that really just laid for the fastball, and when he didn't have it, when able to get on the outside corner, inside corner, and ran back over the middle of the plate, they just happened to be one of those good fastball hitting teams that were ready for him. Plus, it's kind of hard to come out early in the game and have your fastball where you want it. You know, you want the inner half, you want an outer half, but you can make some mistakes with it early in the game, and that's why I think with Zach against a team like the White Sox, you know, that first pitch, give me over curveball, is a good pitch for him tonight.
Great movement, 96, and it tails over the inside corner, and Zach has a scoreless first. Wow, that pitch.
Well, I wanted to give you guys an idea of how crowded it is. A lot of nights above the upper fountains, there's nobody up here, maybe a couple people walking. First off, good thing that the wind is blowing that way, down on the people below on the party porch, because up here it is nice and dry. And I got to report to Frank, I'm standing right behind your statue. You're taking pictures with a lot of people tonight. There is a lot of traffic up here, a lot of people patting you on the back, and a couple kids climbing up on top of the statue as well. But all in all, they're taking good care of you. Back upstairs to you guys.
Well, they'd have to get awful high to pat me on the back out there, Joel.
Looks like a typical day for you, right? I mean, taking a lot of pictures, grandkids crawling all over you.
Yeah, a lot of pats on the back for take care of all the grandkids at one time. All the parents said, thanks for watching the grandkids.
Now Out in right center field above the Pepsi party porch. 1-1 on David DeJesus, who's now hit in 5 straight games. Danks jumps ahead 1-2. A double for David last night, and then driving in a run in the bottom of the 9th inning, preventing the shutout. Mark Burley 8 1/3, and then Bobby Jenks the last 2 for a save. Back to Danks. 1 down. White Sox on defense behind the 24-year-old John Danks. Podsednik, Wise, Dye in the outfield. And then Beckham, Nix, Getz, Konerko around the horn. AJ Pierzynski behind the plate. One way the Royals can get the offense going is to use the running game. Danks doesn't have the move that Mark Burley does. And opponents have been running wild on Chicago this year. 69 stolen base attempts. They've been successful 60 out of 69.
Yeah, that could also be the pitcher's move, but also the catcher's throwing and release times. That they take both those into consideration when they run. So if you got a pitcher that's slow to the plate, maybe 1.35 or higher, then you could, with the right base runners, you can still on that guy. But if your catcher's release time is, say, it's over 2 seconds, then that's also a good red flag to run too.
Callaspo to Beckham at third. Alberto is down like DeJesus. Callaspo bringing a 5-game hitting streak in tonight. And 2 ground balls, and now Billy Butler, who was hitless. John Danks, former first-round pick of the Rangers in '03, and then was traded to the White Sox for Brandon McCarthy. Billy 0 for 4 last night. Batting average dipping below .290. This is the 3rd time this year the Royals have faced John Danks. Danks without a decision. He faced Zach Greinke on May the 31st, and both pitchers didn't figure in the final decision. Now in 12 innings, including tonight against Danks, the Royals have scored 4 runs, and Danks has struck out 10. Way over on the third base side of the rubber. Slice to right. It stays up for Dye, and the Royals are down quickly in the first. Sellout crowd still building at Kauffman Stadium. Royals baseball brought to you by Kia Motors. To learn more, visit kia.com. and by AT&T. Switch to the nation's fastest 3G network. AT&T, your world delivered. A couple of singles for the White Sox in the first inning, but no damage against Zach Greinke. It'll be Paul Konerko, AJ Pierzynski, and Chris Getz. Deep but foul off to the left field side. Konerko with 2 hits in last night's game. I mentioned White Sox who have done well against Zach Greinke. Paul Konerko is not in that group. 45 at bats, hitting .111.
Well, that's so much for the scouting report as to whether or not you're going to play in this game or not. You know, yeah, I think guys again looks at that and saying, "Well, this is my horse at first base, and this guy's capable of getting a home run for me, a big hit for me on any swing." So it's not one of those things where you're not hitting well against this guy, so you're not playing tonight.
Zach has thrown one of his shutouts against the White Sox, and when he did that here at Kauffman Stadium, we were talking then about the problems that Paul Konerko had against Greinke, but in that particular game he was hitless, but he lined to center field twice, and one of his 5 hits is a home run. So all it takes is one mistake, and all those numbers don't mean anything.
Well, that's the beauty of the game. It's not also where you do something, it's when you do it. And Castro makes a pretty nice play right there. That's one of those balls where when it first hit, you think you catch it in the air, and then you start giving ground on it, and you realize you got to hurry. And here, the very right, threw off the wrong foot, but he just wanted to get it in that direction. And Billy Butler made a nice pick in the dirt on that play.
Now that swing looked like a guy who was 5 for 45 against Greinke.
Well, that's the swing that goes back until the Magic gets. I don't think I want to see this guy anymore.
Pierzynski deep to right field. And that is his second career home run against Greinke. And Pierzynski has just beaten up on the Royals this year. That's his 17th hit in 35 at bats. First pitch fastball, Frank.
Well, he can hit him, and I tell you, Zach really, the last time we were here, Pierzynski really laid out that hard slider down in the end, so he has a pretty good approach. But I think they're all going to look first pitch fastball against Zach, and he left that pitch up out over the plate. He did a good job with Konerko, starting him off with that curveball, and he hit it far, but he hit it foul, way foul, and that's okay if you do that. But then you got a chance to come back and do something different. But that first pitch fastball, they look for it against Zach Greinke.
1-1 on Chris Getz. 1 for 4 last night. White Sox really like their mix on offense. They have some veterans who provide the punch in Dye, Thome, Konerko, and Pierzynski, who has developed some power later in his career, and then surrounded by some smaller, faster guys that have given this lineup some energy and some speed, like Nix, Getz, and Beckham, and Dwayne Wise.
Well, that was one of the things that early in the year, again, that's one of the things that he talked about was his team needed to get more athletic. And by bringing these guys in, it gave him 2 ways to score runs. He didn't have to sit there and let those guys hit the double plays. And now he got a situation where he can actually put some hit and runs on and get some speed, brought Pasecnik back and put speed at the top. And just want to give himself a little more versatility in his lineup.
Zach strikes out his second. And now kind of a half-hearted swing by Beckham. Butler to the bag, and that's the inning. Pierzynski homers to right. White Sox lead 1-0. Susan in the middle. That's Eliana, who is going to turn 4 tomorrow. And Mason, Joel's son, on the right side. So happy birthday one day before. There's Mason to Eliana. Tomorrow is also the second birthday of Kennedy Shank, daughter of Royals producer Kevin Shank. Jose Guillen, Miguel Olivo, and Mike Jacobs here in the bottom of the second inning. It's 1-2 on Guillen. Jose 0 for 3 last night. His average down to 251. John Danks a quick 1-2-3 first inning. And similar to Mark Burley, he does not waste a lot of time in between pitches. He'll go to the ball himself. And a Konerko for the first out. Here's tonight's You Call It, presented by Sprint. Who do you think has had the best first half by a Royals pitcher? Brett Saberhagen in 87. Frank was there for that. 15-3 in the first half. Kevin Appier in 92, an ERA of 2.3. David Cohn, 12 wins, an ERA under 3 in 94. He won the Cy Young that year. And now Zach, 10 wins, an ERA under 2. And if Zach has a good start tonight, if he has a great start tonight, it could be tough for Joe Madden not to select him to be the starter in the All-Star game.
Well, he's been very consistent from day one, and that's what the manager All-Star games look for, and that's what the fans vote for, the guys who've been consistent and bring a lot of excitement to this ball club too. And I think Zach has been that guy. I mean, you talk about just being dominating, and the teams that he was able to pitch against early got a taste of that early. They say this guy is really coming to his own, and it's not the same Zach Greinke that they saw 2 years ago. This is the Zach Greinke that's matured and knows how to pitch. And he comes out and pitches aggressively.
Other candidates, Kevin Slowey of Minnesota is 110. He's going for his 11th tonight. Roy Halladay has been on the disabled list. I don't know if the Blue Jays would want him to risk an injury. He's certainly a good candidate. Tim Wakefield, a knuckleballer, has also won 10 games, but I think the sensation, if you will, and the guy that the fans want to see, not just here in Kansas City, but all around baseball, I think would like to see Zach.
Well, I think so too, man. I think the one thing that hurts the All-Star game is that you take a lot of pitchers who can only throw one inning. I think that's what really gets you in trouble as a manager in an All-Star game, and trying to balance that all out with the clubs and the pitchers and the pitch counts. And so I think you need to make sure guys are able to throw at least 2 innings when they go to the All-Star game.
Dwayne Wise back to retire Olivo. So Danks has retired the first 5. And that brings up Mike Jacobs. We were talking about Mark Burley last night, who beat the Royals for his 8th win of the year, 8-2. So not a real impressive win-loss record, but the rest of his numbers are very good. He has started an All-Star game in his career. Mike Jacobs 0 for 3 last night, batting in the number 7 position, hitting 6 tonight against Danks. One and one. And that's a little gesture there, a hitter reminding himself to keep his front shoulder in. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Just missed the corner. 2-2. Danks has been pitching well lately. 7 shutout innings on Sunday against Chicago, getting the win. And over his last 4 starts, his ERA is 1.9. And he's gone 7 innings or more in his last 4. The Royals not only facing a good pitcher, but a good pitcher who is currently pitching very well. And he opens tonight with 2 perfect innings. 10,000 guys will get a classic ringer tee thanks to KMCI. 38th the spot. Halter top recently voted as the most popular giveaway in Royals history. Now we figured when this promotion was first announced and the game time 12:10, perfect day for a short sleeve shirt and a halter top. Figure the 4th of July in Kansas City, it could be 108. Meyer trying to find an angle and makes an over the head catch on Dwayne Wise. A very difficult catch that he made look easy. Like he knew what he was doing all the way.
Well, it was one of those balls that kept fading on him, and he could have easily just made a little turn and got to the glove side where he could catch it up over his shoulder, but he just kept drifting with it and slicing with it and just made a basket catch over the shoulder. I think if you asked Mitch if he wanted to do that play all over again, he probably would have made a turn and got back to facing which way the ball was going, which was slicing back to his right, but he didn't make that turn to get back and catch the ball above his head.
1-1 on Podsednik. Infield single in the first inning, almost thrown out on a diving play by Pena, and then was caught stealing. Changeup is outside, 2-1. So anyway, you'd figure it could be hot tomorrow with a 12-10 game, but it's supposed to stay in the 80s tomorrow. Again to center. Meyer shallow, so he has a long way to go, and it's over his head. Extra bases for Podsednik. So he's 2 for 2. And again, Zach Greinke, 15 for 29. He's better than a 500 hitter against Greinke.
Well, Zach threw a little two-seamer that ran out over the plate, and Podsednik stayed with it and really hit that ball well. Even though Meyer's playing shallow, David's playing a little shallow, he just hit that line drive and split both the outfielders. And Zach's fastball right now is just getting a little bit too much of the plate. It's staying in the middle of the plate, and Wise drove one deep to center field, and Podsednik hit the double to left center field.
So runner at second, one out. Jason Nix popped out to first his first time up, and now he breaks his bat. No balls, one strike.
That's a good two-seamer there. That's when you throw right at the hand, and it just keeps climbing right in there and just right off the fist. Jason Nix is an aggressive fastball hitter, but you see how the ball just starts diving in there, and he tried to catch up, but it was just too much on the fastball, and got in there and got some bat.
Nick still in there at shortstop for the second straight game for Alexi Ramirez, who has injured a finger on his right hand. Had some x-rays yesterday, and those were negative, but Ozzie Guillen's going to keep him out for a couple of games. So an opportunity for Nix, who is typically a second baseman. Missed the breaking ball. It's 1-2. Tonight's Roadrunner Turbo speed pitch comparison from the first two innings. Zach at 96. That was on a called third strike to Tomey in the first inning. Danks is at 94. And you can double your speed with Roadrunner Turbo from Time Warner Cable. Two and two.
Miguel does a great job blocking that ball, Ryan. He just got his glove out of the way, let the ball hit him right in the stomach there, and kicks the ball right out in front. That's perfect how he does a slider down in the inside, just got the glove out of the way, cupped the shoulders, and that's textbook right there. So that you'd like to be able to do that every time.
And there's no statistic for blocking balls in the dirt, but it's just as effective as caught stealing. I mean, both ways you prevent a runner from advancing.
Well, that's true. No, Jason Nix was a second baseman. I managed against him when he was with Colorado playing in Tulsa, and he was one of those real gutty type guys when he played hard, and AT KCA really liked him at second base and been playing him a little bit at shortstop. But Greg Walker said one day he needed an outfielder. They said, Jason, can you play the outfield? He said, yeah, how tough can it be? Just hit the ball, catch the ball. So they said now he's playing more outfield than infield. This is Zach's signature pitch here, Ryan. That hard slider. It makes it tempting for the hitter. A little bit of plate. Then just at the last minute, just dives straight down. That's an outstanding strikeout pitch.
So 3 strikeouts. We're short a K. There we go. And Bob McClure wants to go out and talk to Zach before pitching to Jermaine Dye, another White Sox hitter who's done well against Zach and singled sharply into left field in the first inning. Saturday afternoons were made for baseball, and tomorrow Fox brings you the national game of the week. You might see the Tigers and the Twins, perhaps the Dodgers and the Padres, or the Mets and the Phillies. Fox Saturday Baseball this week at 3 p.m. Central on Fox.
I'm sure with the base open, they want to discuss how they're going to go about pitching to Jermaine Dye. He's been hot, and they want to make sure that they know exactly how they want to pitch him in this situation.
Batting with Podsednik down at second base, who is wearing an oven mitt. When the inning's over, he's going to pull some muffins out of the oven. Is that a glove for a guy who is sliding head first?
It must be head first, and also it might be one that makes him keep his fingers from popping on the base. Might keep his fingers up, and then when he hits the base with the palm of his hand rather than fingers first. New invention, I believe.
Some guys will take their batting gloves off, right, and hold them in their hands.
Well, the old days, that's all we had to do. I mean, before batting gloves, we just got 2 hands full of dirt and just held on to the dirt. And then when you went to slide, you just threw the dirt back over your head, and that was a good sliding form. But going head first, you just had to make sure you keep those fingers up so you don't pop those fingers going into the base. When Zach started Jermaine off with a breaking ball, the first pitch, Oliva did a good job blocking. Usually when you start off with a breaking ball, you come right back with another one. That was much better because he made it somewhat enticing to the hitter to swing at.
Jamie Quirk has told the boys in the truck that last year when Scott Podsednik was with the Rockies, he broke his index finger sliding. That could be why he's wearing the mitt, that heavily wrapped batting glove.
Well, it may become a day, Ryan, when they may put boxing gloves on when they get.
Well, that's the guy I'm staying away from if we have a benches clearing brawl. Three and 2 on Jermaine.
Well, this looks like one of those situations where they don't really care if they walk him right here, Ryan. It's almost like they said, okay, we're gonna go after him with breaking balls, and if we can make it good enough for him to swing at, good. But if we don't make it good and we walk him, we can live with it.
The slider 3 times, so the count goes from 1 and 2 to a walk. Zach's first tonight and only the 19th this year, and now Jim Thome. Zach struck him out back in the first inning, and here's the Arby's pitch by pitch.
Well, Ryan, this is one guy he's got to be careful with right here. If he starts him off with fastballs, he stayed hard with him the entire at bat. He didn't slow the ball down on him at all. And then he came up with this good late tailing fastball that froze him on the inside corner.
So Podsednik at second, Dye at first. White Sox scoring in the second inning on Pierzynski's home run. 97 from Zach. It's 1-0. Zach winning on Sunday at Pittsburgh. He should be rested coming in tonight. Only threw 79 pitches because of the rain delay on Sunday afternoon, which was about an hour. Now it's 2-0.
Well, this is where the Royals have to be careful right here. With what Zach and Miguel have to be careful is that they've shown him that they'll come inside and that ball does have late movement, but they can't afford to miss in this situation in that area.
Callaspo coming in from right field has it go under his glove. The White Sox lead 2-0. Well, that's the one play I guess you worry about for a second baseman when you're that deep.
Well, Ryan, you're that deep, and that would have been a tough play, even if he catches the ball. That's why I say with a man on second base, you can't afford to try to catch this ball on the run. You've got to sit down and catch this ball with both hands. And if you miss the guy at first, that's okay. You still got the bases loaded, and you come back. But he tried to make the tough play, and the ball rolls 10 feet behind you. The run scores.
Tenth error for Callaspo, and the Royals' 60th of the season. And now outside to Paul Konerko. Defense has been an issue over the past month. 29 errors in the last 29 games, and 60 total ties them with the Mariners for the most in the league.
Right. One thing he's got to remember, he's already deep, and then he's going to his right, and he's trying to circle the ball to get back to first base.
And Konerko makes the Royals pay even more into the right field corner. The Royals are lucky that Thome was the runner at first. Dye scores to make it 3-0. I think anyone else on the White Sox roster scores from first with 2 outs. It's an RBI double for Konerko, and 3-0 in the third.
That's why I say you really can't pay attention, Ryan, to what the guy's hitting against the pitcher, because on any given night it can change. And with Konerko, he gets 97-mile-an-hour fastball and goes the other way. Didn't try to pull it and got a double and an RBI.
And now Pierzynski, who swung at the first pitch. Zach threw to him in the second and hit a long home run to right. Now starts him off with a changeup for strike one. One and one.
I don't think Zach wants to give him anything to pull right here, Ryan, but he does have good power the other way also if you lead the ball up out on the plate. But I think Zach wants to pitch careful here with the base open, and I think I'm trying to get him to roll over on something away from him, and then you got to make sure that if you go in there, you get in there.
Well, he just missed inside at 98 miles an hour. Two doubles, an error, a walk. One of the outs in this inning. An over-the-shoulder catch by Mitch Meyer on the warning track. Shallow left. De Jesus is there, and the inning is over. The White Sox add 2 for a 3-0 lead. to a wounded Marine during the Battle of Saipan in World War II. And because of that act, he received a Purple Heart and a Bronze Star. And tonight he's enjoying the game from the Buck O'Neill Legacy seat behind home plate. So welcome to Melbourne. And we welcome in Joy Sedlacek, Royals Director of Royals Charities. And we have a very special event coming up this month.
We do. Diamond of Dreams taking the field for Operation Breakthrough, July 23rd.
One of those events where the Royals are present, a chance to come out, not only support the community, but meet the Royals as well.
Absolutely. It's a unique experience for fans to actually hit the field, the sacred ground where our Royals play. A lot of local restaurants come in, set up food from first to second, second to third, a band at second base. So it's a fun evening to hang out with the Royals and eat, drink, and dance.
Now, we've had this event for several years, but it's only been about 2 or 3 that you can actually go down on the field. I mean, this is not just meeting the players.
Yeah. Unique, definitely different. This has been only the second year we were inside on the Crown Club, so the fact that we're on the field is a whole new event for all of us. Yeah.
Here are the details, some of the details. July 23rd here at Kauffman Stadium, and it benefits Operation Breakthrough. And I had a chance this past offseason during the Royals Caravan to visit Operation Breakthrough. And I know one Royal that was really impacted was Mike Jacobs.
Absolutely, absolutely. During FanFest, we brought several of the Royals players down and toured Operation Breakthrough. And there's 650 kids. It's a daycare center where they eat, drink. This is a lot of kids. They're a place for shelter, food, clothing. And Mike Jacobs was really taken back by the kids. They're so loving. They come right up to you and hug you. And he said, you know, I want to help out. I'll donate $500 for every home run. So we're thrilled to definitely have an awesome event like this and then have definitely the player support with it. It means a lot.
Well, that's good, Ryan. I had an opportunity to go down and speak to the kids after school one day last year, and I think everybody who goes down there really appreciates the work that's done down there. And I also had an opportunity to go to our first Field of Dreams last year and hang out with the sponsors on the field, and everybody's just excited. Everybody's feeling the dirt, you know, just to get the feel of being on the field.
Fun.
And you guys really had to set up really neat.
Oh, thank you, thank you. Well, we have great auction items. I believe you're autographed a golf bag for us, and we have Nolan Ryan autographed jersey, Bob Gibson, Yogi Berra, Hank Aaron. Really, really cool items. Yeah, we did well this year.
Well, the coolest item last year was the Dodge Challenger that was auctioned off last year. that was outstanding. I love that.
Yeah, I think you had fun driving that.
Oh,
didn't
yeah.
you?
I sit in it.
Oh, you said, okay. All right. So you didn't drive it on the field? No,
I had some pictures taken in it, around it. I did everything but own it, you know.
But own it. I think they were trying to talk you into that from what I remember.
There was a day.
Chatting with Joy Sedlacek, Director of Royals Charities, as the Royals get their first base runner against John Danks. Hernandez at first, and now Mitch Meyer at the plate. What did you typically hear from some of the fans and some of the supporters of Royals Charities that came out last year? What were some of the compliments, the wow factor after they went to the event?
You know, I think it was just them being on the field. You know, it's not something that we all get to do. The players get to experience that. And from what we found last year is once they hit the field and the silent auction was by home plate, they never left. I mean, I think they got down there and were in awe of everything. And so now this year we're moving them actually to the dirt from first, second, and third to try to get them out to the outfield a little bit.
2-2 on Meyer. July 23rd, and I didn't do my homework before Joy came up to the booth, but that is an off day. Typically it's usually after a game.
Yeah.
So a lot of times when we have that event, the players are a little tired because there's a July game, but now you're going to get the players fresh 100%. And
well
the
rested.
Players have a good time at this event too, don't they?
They do. They had a great time. Tian stayed the entire event last year. He was there till the very end, bidding on some auction items. So
Meyer safe at first. So not hitting into the double play. Hernandez is cut down at second base. So 1 on, 1 out in the bottom of the third.
That's a nice, really nice play right there. But Mitch runs really well, so that was an easy play for him to beat out, hitting the ball up the middle. Jess did a good job getting the ball to Nix, but some balls are hit for some guys just fast enough to beat at the first base, and Meyer was just that fast to get there.
Now Danks will pitch to Tony Pena Jr. with Meyer at first and 1 out. Now, if the name Sedlacek rings a bell, Joy is the wife of former Royals pitcher Sean Sedlacek, and I remember when he burst onto the scene here, and nobody could figure out that big slider after he was called up from AAA Omaha. But what's Sean up to these days?
Staying busy, working for Waddell and Reed, and doing lessons with kids, and he comes out to the game quite a bit. He loves baseball and definitely supports the Royals.
1-1 on Tony Pena Jr. And you two met here at Kauffman Stadium, right?
We did. It was, he was in the office getting a degree in marketing because he was drafted his senior year at Iowa State. And they said, why don't you take, some of the players' calls with us? Because one, he's writing a paper, wants to learn the sales process. I was in sponsorship then. And so we did, and it helped our sales, but also helped his paper, and that's how we met. So I like to explain that story. Yeah.
You had an official job here.
Yes, absolutely.
He had an official job
right.
here. Everyone was working.
That's right.
Well, he was a lot of fun when he was here. He was certainly, I'm sure, helpful in the front office, but he's also great doing a lot of caravans and was great with the fans. And
yeah.
And when he was called up, I remember he made a lot of major league hitters look bad with that big slider.
It was all about command with Sean. He just pitched both sides of the plate, changed speeds, and just pitched very aggressively with what he had. And I tell you, when you can go from the field to a career that you like, I think that's pretty good. That takes planning right there. And a lot of guys really don't plan that way when they're playing. And I think he did a great job in recognizing that this game's not going to last forever, and it's time to at least put yourself in a position to do something that you really like to do when you get out of the game.
Yeah.
Kevin Shank reminding me that every time he went to a ballpark on the road, he would always find Sean on the mound before anyone even got there. He'd be one of the first to the ballpark, just stand on the mound and just appreciate where he was and taking in the ballpark and the surroundings before anyone got in the seats and before his heart rate might be a little higher once he's competing, but just a reminder of, hey, this is the big leagues and I'm not in the seats anymore watching someone on the mound. I'm going to be on this mound.
Did he ever tell you that?
He did not. No.
2 down as Pena fouls out to first base. So Diamond of Dreams, July the 23rd here at Kauffman Stadium. That's a Thursday. And again, how can a regular fan who wants to support this effort get in touch with the Royals and get tickets?
Absolutely. Tickets are $100. They can visit royals.com/Diamond of Dreams, or they can go to www.diamondofdreams.com. There's pictures. It'll mention our local restaurants who will be out here as well. But $100. I mean, what a night out to eat, drink, and dance for 4 hours. The night ends with fireworks, so it's a great evening.
And Jesus grounds out to second. That's the inning. Thank you, Joy.
Thank you.
Tell Sean we all said hi.
Will do. Thank you.
Thanks, Sean.
Taco Bell, try the new bacon cheesy potato burrito. It's big bacon taste guys can't resist. And by Miller High Life, good honest beer at a tasty price. Chris Getz pulls it to Cayaspo at second base, who gets a sarcastic round of applause for making the play. Committed an error in the third inning, which led to 2 runs and turned a 1-0 game into a 3-0 game. So Getz is 0 for 2, and now Gordon Beckham, who grounded out in the second. Showing bunt, taking strike 1, and you have to lay down a pretty good bunt with Zach Greinke on the mound, because you know he can win a Gold Glove. He is a Gold Glove type fielding pitcher.
Well, I hope he's being considered, because he to me, he's the best fielder in the league.
Down into the left field corner. So the White Sox, with their 6th hit against Zach, and 3 have been doubles. So runner at second, 1 out, as we take a look at tonight's league leaders, brought to you by your Kansas City area Toyota dealers. This is one of those new statistics, WHIP, which is walks and hits per innings pitched. And Zach is the 2nd best in the majors behind Dan Herron. So if you combine walks and hits total, Herron allowing less than 1 per 9 innings, or per inning, and Zach just a little over 1. That was coming in tonight. Similar, I think, to on base percentage. You know, you can look at a guy's batting average, but that doesn't tell you how often he's on base, and that's kind of the pitcher's equivalent. Yeah, his ERA might be impressive, his opponent's batting average might be impressive, but how many base runners does he allow? That stayed up. It may have fooled Olivo, and coming around to score is Beckham, a throw back to first, and Wise is in there. The White Sox take a 4-0 lead in the 4th inning. Olivo, I don't know if that's the pitch he was expecting, and he and Zach are talking about it, or were talking about it.
Well, Zach throws a curveball here, Ryan, and Wise was right on it. I mean, he wasn't fooled by this pitch at all. And when he first let it go, Olivo raised his glove as if he thought it might have been a fastball, and then he had to come back down again. So there was definitely some mix-up right there. See, watch Olivo's left hand, it goes up like he thinks it's a fastball, and then this curveball comes down. And so there's a mix-up between that. At least it seemed to be a mix-up between him and Zach on that play, on that pitch, actually.
And now pitch out, thinking that Wise might take off. But Sednick 2 for 2 tonight with a run scored. And he has really resurrected his career with the White Sox. Some great years with Chicago, then started to tail off, went to the Rockies, couldn't get it going there. Back with Chicago, and he's hitting .316.
You know, the White Sox have stolen some bases, but they really have. They've been caught a lot. So it would be more in line to see a hit and run here than the Wise a straight out steal. He's 2 for 2. I mean 2 for 4.
That is another hit for Podsednik against Zach Greinke. So 3 for 3 tonight. 16 for 30 in his career. And Chicago already with 8 hits, and that's in less than 4 innings.
Well, Zach's been going pretty much everything. Here he throws a changeup, and Podsednik hits it just as it starts to go away from him, and able to pull it in the hole between second and first. So right now, everything right now is a little up. The curveball to Wise was up, and also the changeup stayed up to Podsednik. Then you can see Zach is really searching for a pitch that he can throw, and that he can command and get the White Sox hitters off balance.
Look at that, 533. That's over 30 at bats. So with 1 out, a double, 2 singles, another run home. And here's Here's Jason Nix, who has popped out, struck out. Zach misses down and away. One and one. Robinson Tejeda throwing in the bullpen, which is a bit of a surprise. The Royals do not have an off day before the All-Star break, and Zach with just 79 pitches in his last start. You figure eventually he's going to find it tonight, but maybe the Royals have seen something to suggest he won't find it tonight. Both runners go, and for the second time, Olivo guns down a White Sox base runner. This time it's Dwayne Wise, and there are 2 outs.
But one thing about Miguel Olivo, he catches the ball clean, and he's gonna throw you out. He does a great job here catching this ball, stepping behind the hitter, and making a strike throw to Hernandez at third base. And that he was out by a lot. Because they say if you're going to steal third, most people say that's easier to steal than first, but he was out by quite a bit on that one.
Seding moves up to second, but he does not get a stolen base since a runner was thrown out on the play. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Nix was drafted in the first round by the Rockies in 2001. And as Jamie Quirk talked about in the game last night, always had the good glove, just hasn't been able to prove that he can hit consistently at this level. Got him with a hard slider, inning over. Zach has struck out 4, but the White Sox have scored 4. Against Zach Greinke as we go to the bottom of the 4th inning, and the Royals with just 1 hit against John Danks in the first 3 innings. 0-1 on Alberto Callaspo. Grounded out in the first inning and then committed an error in the White Sox 2-run third. High throw, nice play by Konerko to make the tag on Callaspo. So a clutch play by Paul Konerko. And on that topic, here's the AMCO AA MCO clutch play of the week.
That's a Luke O'Shaver, Ryan. He just really went out and really dominated in his last start on Monday night. Just attacked his own. Good movement on his fastball. Pitched with a lot of confidence.
7 shutout innings for Luke Hochaver. 0-1 to Billy Butler. Royals winning that game 4-2 over the Twins. They have not won since. Billy flied out to right in the first inning. Royals waiting for a big night on offense. They've scored 1 run each in their last 3 games. 1-2. Another similarity tonight between Danks and Mark Burley. And Danks just using his defense. He doesn't have a walk or a strikeout. And Burley going 8 1/3 last night. No walks, 1 strikeout. He strikes out Butler on a changeup. So 2 down in the 4th.
Hi, I'm Willie Wilson. Come join me and a few of my friends July 17th for a classic baseball game. Visit Royals.com for more information.
The first Royals Hall of Fame Classic presented by Willie Wilson Baseball and Farmland Foods on Friday, July the 17th at 4:45. Exhibition game featuring members of the Royals Hall of Fame against former Major League All-Stars. Fouled away by Guillen, 0-2. Special ticket packages can be purchased at Royals.com/HOF Classic. Again, that's July the 17th. And we're getting close to the grand opening of the Royals Hall of Fame out in left field.
Well, the only thing that scares me about that announcement, Ryan, is the word annual.
Why?
Why? You have to ask.
Well, Danks, after going 3 1/3 without a strikeout, gets Butler and Guillen for the final 2 outs of the 4th. Soups, hand-tossed salads, inventive sandwiches, and savory breakfast items. Panera Bread, where every detail matters. Tough night so far for Zach Greinke. He's allowed 4 runs in 4 innings. And the White Sox with 8 hits, including 3 doubles. Two of the runs are unearned because of a Callaspo error in the 3rd inning. Hernandez into foul ground, starting at 3rd base for the first time as a big leaguer. And Jermaine Dye is retired for the first time tonight. One down in the 5th inning. Here is Zach's pitch count, brought to you by James B. Nutter and Company. 66 pitches, 25 balls. He has walked 1, 41 strikes. He has struck out 4. And now Tomey. Back to Zach. 2 pitches, 2 outs. So Tomey is 0 for 3, but it was his ground ball that resulted in the Callaspo error and the 2 unearned runs in the 3rd inning.
Well, Zach made a nice adjustment this inning, Ronnie. They started Jermaine Dye off with a curveball and came right back against Tomey also with a first pitch curveball and got 2 quick outs.
And you never give a pitcher a chance to have a 3-pitch inning. And Paul Konerko had no intention of swinging there. It's 0-1.
You don't want to make it that easy. That's for sure. Managers don't like that, and your starting pitcher don't like that either.
The only thing Paul Konerko could have done to justify swinging at that first pitch would be to hit one off the windows of the Hall of Fame.
I agree with that one.
Konerko doubled home a run in the 3rd inning. He is also grounded out. Fooled badly, and it's 1-2.
Well, that could make the list.
We've got quite a list going.
Yeah, we just don't write them down, but we have them in our minds.
It all started with the White Sox. Alexi Ramirez against Gil Mesh on opening day. 2-2. Our list of bad looking swings.
That was a swing that was looking for a fastball and got a curveball.
Konerko has had plenty of good swings this year, driving in his 50th run of the year in the 3rd inning. Zach strikes him out. It's an easy 5th inning. Zach picking up his 5th strikeout. This year by American League catchers in games where they're catching. Explain that in a moment. 12 for Miguel Olivo. Joe Mauer and the Twins were just here. He has 14 home runs, but 10 when he was behind the plate. He's also hit 4 as a designated hitter. But during games when they're behind the plate, Miguel Olivo has most home runs of any American League catcher. And he hit 8 of the 12 in the month of June. Danks got him on a fly out to center in the second inning. No balls, 2 strikes. Also, the Royals leader with 12, Mike Jacobs, had been leading for most of the year, followed by Tien, Guillen, and Butler.
I guess, Ryan, we can say that Miguel Oliva's really made the most of his extended playing time. When he was playing a couple days and sitting, and he wasn't really swinging the bat as well, and he feels like having more consistent plate appearances and games is a result of what he's doing right now.
His career high for home runs is 16. And the question has come up, how will the playing team change when John Buck is called up from the minor leagues? And Trey Hillman saying that Miguel still will be the primary catcher. Strikes out here. That's the 3rd straight strikeout for Danks.
Well, Danks' changeup is starting to come into play a little bit more in the last couple of innings, and it just had the same arm slot as his fastball. And we said at the top of the show that if that changeup starts working, it's going to be a tough night for the Royals.
It's only 1 hit and 4 1/3 innings. And now Mike Jacobs fouled out to third his first time up. So anyway, John Buck will probably get more playing time than Brian Pena is getting now behind the plate, but Miguel Olivo is still the Royals' primary catcher.
Would you think some of that might have? Well, you think about how he plays at AAA before he gets here, how he hits the ball might have a bearing on how Trey Hillman decides to use him when he gets here. I think that's one of the big things. You can go down and you can get the games, but you also have to get your batting eye. And if he's squaring the ball up at AAA, it might be a chance where Trey Hillman can maybe play both his catches at the same time.
Jacobs down on strikes, and now 4 in a row for Danks.
Well, this is what John Danks does well. He mixes his pitches, and there he goes with the slider, and he gets down the outside corner. And that's a pitch that if Mike Jacobs can lay off that ball right there, I think his batting average will go up a lot, because he knows his center is middle and down, but they make him chase a lot of sweeping breaking balls across the plate, and that's where that's where the plate discipline has to come from.
1 hop to Beckham. 1, 2, 3, down go the Royals against Danks in the 5th. Against Dwayne Wise in the 3rd inning. Mitch Meyer making this play. Just like Willie Mays made it. Just like Ken Griffey Jr. makes it.
He had to get his lips out of the way, though, right? That's got to be catchphrase for the year.
Coors Light Freeze Can brought to you by Frost Brewed Coors Light, the world's most refreshing beer. It'll be A.J. Pierzynski, Chris Getz, and Gordon Beckham in the 6th inning. Pierzynski homered with 1 out in the 2nd inning. White Sox scoring 2 unearned runs in the 3rd. An error by Callaspo. And then Dwayne Wise singling home Gordon Beckham in the 4th. Anthony's 1-1 on Pierzynski. Slow curve, and Pierzynski able to keep his hands back. And that's his 2nd hit of the game. And he just continues to punish the Royals this year, especially here at Kauffman Stadium. And he's 2 out of 3 tonight. On Sunday, July the 19th, it's Youth League Day at Kauffman Stadium. And the Royals have a giveaway just for kids. 10,000 kids 14 and under receive a Golden Glove in honor of Royals great Frank White, who won 8 Gold Gloves. Nice play in right field by Jose Guillen. Youth League Day at Kauffman Stadium, sponsored by Schlitterbahn Vacation Village. This is one of our favorite fans of the season, a big Mark Tien fan. She had a sign saying, "I love Mark Tien," and she was fired up, to say the least. I mean, her older brother was trying to chime in, but there we go. It was Nevada, Missouri loves Mark Tien. Speaking of Youth League Day at Kauffman Stadium. See, just a sweet little girl with her sign, trying to get on television, and then once she knows she's on camera, and we see the other side of her. For her parents' sake, I hope that's not the reaction when she's told to eat her vegetables.
I think with that, the way she's stretched out right there, they'd probably all go in the garage and let her have the house to herself.
1-1 on Gordon Beckham, doubled with 1 out in the 4th inning and scored on a Dwayne Wise single. On the fast track to the big leagues, Gordon Beckham drafted in the 1st round last year. Olivo down to 2nd. That's the 3rd runner he has gunned down tonight. And the 2nd time in the last 2 nights that Pierzynski has been out by a wide margin, but thinks he somehow avoided the tag.
Well, he's just reading this ball in the dirt right here. He knows as a catcher that ball is hard to catch in the dirt, so he just tried to go hope that Miguel Olivo would knock it far enough away for him to get down to second base. But Miguel jumped on those balls faster than any catcher in the major leagues.
On the outside, Beckham is down, and so are the White Sox. 6 strikeouts for Zach. The Royals are down 4-0.
And our contestant is Charlie Bachting from Lee Summit, Missouri. If the Royals hit a home run this inning, Charlie will win $400. But if the Royals hit a grand slam out of the park, Charlie will win $25 grand from Sonic and the Kansas City Royals.
Mitch Meyer, Tony Pena Jr., and David DeJesus. Mitch reached on a fielder's choice, avoiding a ground ball double play in the third inning after Luis Hernandez single. That's the only hit for the Royals against Danks in 5 innings. 2 balls, 1 strike. Danks opened the game retiring the first 6. Now he's gotten the last 9 and has struck out 4 along the way. Early in the season, the White Sox offense wasn't scoring any runs. They were down around the bottom in runs scored, team batting average. They've got the power. Their rotation was underachieving. They had the good back end of the bullpen, but right now everything has come together. Slow roller to Getz, and Meyer is out. So that's 10 in a row retired by John Danks. And up comes Tony Pena Jr.
Well, there's just way too much experience on that ball club, Ryan, for it not to come together at some point. If there were a lot of free agents coming together at the same time, you'd think, okay, this might be one of those years where we don't maybe we don't see what we have till the following year. But these guys have been there, and they've done it before. And there's just no reason to think that they wouldn't get hot at some point and put it all together.
And now we are, what, 4 weeks exactly from the first trading deadline. A week ago, somebody asked Ozzie Guillen, what do you think? Should the White Sox be buyers or sellers during the first deadline? And Ozzie, honest as he always is, says, I don't know, because at times the White Sox look like a team that should be adding at the trading deadline, and then at times looking like they should be preparing for next year at the deadline, and maybe that fired the team up as Getz throws out Pena, because since then the White Sox have won 6 in a row, 9 of their last 12, and all of a sudden they're just 2.5 back of the Tigers in the Central.
Well, I think that pitching staff, I would be excited about it if I was Ozzie Guillen, and I think that you're looking at Mirko, Dye, Tony. I think that, and then you bring in Chris Getz, Jason Nix, Scott Passetti, Dwayne Wise, give you some speed and better defense. And I mean, I think that this game is such a swing game this year among the teams in the Central that I think it's just going to be a matter of time where I think the experience takes over in the Central, and that's where the experience lies. It lies with the White Sox.
White Sox have had 13 consecutive winning seasons within the division. They won the division last year. 4 years ago they won the World Series, and several guys are still on the team as far as experience goes. This is the 6th season for Ozzie Guillen as manager.
Well, I mean, he's got a strange way of motivating, his players. And I think that I talked to Jim Tomey about it, and Jim said, well, we understand where he's coming from. It's not like they take it in a negative sense, because I think that being veteran guys, they feel what he feels. If they know they're not playing well, then when he comes out and says something like that, they don't feel bad about it because they realize he's telling the truth, and it's up to them to turn things around and change Ozzie Guillen's conversation by going out and playing better baseball. Younger players, they may not understand what he's trying to say and not be experienced enough to turn what he's trying to say around, and so they continue to play negative baseball. But when you're a veteran team, then you kind of go along with the manager. You know when you're not playing well, and these guys got a way of pulling it all together without blaming the manager.
2-0 on Callaspo. Jamie and I talked about this last night, and that poll that came out, and the 4 managers that Major League Baseball players would least like to play for was amazing. Lou Piniella, who's won a World Series, Ozzie Guillen, who's won a World Series, Joe Torre, who's won several World Series, Tony La Russa, who's won 2 World Series. And this is just a broadcaster's perspective, but why wouldn't you want to play for those 4 guys?
Well, Ryan, I think it goes back to accountability. I mean, all these managers you name, these are accountable guys.
Asheville to the left side, 2 on, 2 out, with Butler coming up in the 6th.
You know, I think if you ask every one of those managers, what do you expect from your players? I expect my players to show up, and I expect my players to be prepared to play and play hard. So a lot of guys are so concerned with making their players feel good about themselves when this is a business, this is a production business, and this is a manager's got to produce, your players have to produce. And when you name these 4 guys, to me, when you say these names, I hear accountability. I hear, okay, this is your job, this is what you have to do, and I'm not going to baby you to get through this. This is your job, so let's go get it done. And I think, to me, that's how you get better in the game. You have to make your mistakes, admit your mistakes, learn from your mistakes, and get better.
What it's like in most businesses, right?
I agree. I mean, everybody's got a quota to make, you know, in their job, you know, so nobody can go and say, well, you know, I don't feel good today, or get a pat on the back and say, well, we'll do it tomorrow. You know, you got to get it done right now.
0-1 on Butler, who's 0 for 2. Well, these guys make a lot of money, and that's fine. That's what the industry produces. And players over the years have worked hard so that these guys are in the position that they can make the type of money that they do. But it is also a very unique industry where no matter what you do on the field, you're going to get a raise.
You're going to get a raise, and when I came in, it wasn't the case. When I came in, if you didn't do a good job, you got cut 20%. And that was before free agency. Now, after free agency, everybody got a raise all the time. But I think the game just goes back to just doing your job. You know, doing what's expected of you. Don't make excuses and get it done.
2 hits for the Royals in the 6th, but Butler grounds out, and that's 6 scoreless innings for John Danks. AT Rapid Rewind. AT&T, the nation's fastest 3G network. AT&T, your world delivered. Sellout crowd at Kauffman Stadium for Buck Knight. Fireworks after the game. Zach Greinke pitching, but Zach's night is over after 6 innings and giving up 4 runs, 9 hits. 2 of the runs were unearned. And it's Robinson Tejeda taking over in the 7th. Only 81 pitches for Zach, and he finished strong as he retired 8 of the last 9 that he faced, and only 81 pitches. I hope something isn't wrong with Zach. Appeared to be rested after his last start, only going 79 pitches because of the rain delay in Pittsburgh. Dwayne Wise flies to center, so he's 1 for 3. Or it could be an opportunity with all the innings that he's pitched already that you figure, well, 4-0 in the 7th. Maybe here's a rare opportunity to give Zach some time to catch his breath.
Well, that may be the case, Ryan. And, you know, he did have a strong inning his last inning. It looked like he had made whatever adjustment he needed to make. He had made it, got the fastball down, and got through an inning with no stress. And, you know, it's back-to-back games, 80 pitches in that area. You know, maybe they realize that maybe he needs to cut back on some innings, but I mean on some pitches. But I don't know. He like he was going pretty good.
Scott Podsednik, 3 for 3 against Greinke tonight with a run scored. He's a .533 hitter against Zach now in his career. I said Zach retired 8 of the last 9. He retired 6 of the last 7 with 3 strikeouts. So either way you look at it, it's a strong finish to his outing. Finished with 6 strikeouts, 1 walk. And his ERA for the first time all year begins with a 2. 2.00. He's given up 27 earned runs and 121 in the 3rd innings. Just missed. Podsednik walks, and he's been on base 4 times tonight. 1 on, 1 out for Nix. The 4th T-shirt Tuesday is coming up on July the 21st, and it gives a nod to the 80s. 20,000 fans will receive a shirt featuring a retro-inspired Royals graphic from Sprint. Get your tickets at 1-800-6-ROYALS, Royals.com, stadium box office, or area Hy-Vee food stores. Royals and the Angels at 7:10 on the 21st. Butler and Olivo in front of the Royals dugout. Billy brings it down. Jason Nix is 0 for 4, and there are 2 out. And now Jermaine Dye. You call it, presented by Sprint, who's had the best first half by a Royals pitcher, and right now Zach in front of Brett Saberhagen by 4 percentage points. Saberhagen 15 wins before the break in '87. Those were Zach's numbers coming into tonight.
Well, that's a lot of wins. 15. What, 20 is the standard? You have 15 by July, middle of July, and your ERA is just around 2.47. Kind of hard to beat that.
Jermaine singled in the 1st, walked and scored in the 3rd, and fouled out in the 5th. Brett Saberhagen did not win the Cy Young that year with a 15-3 start before the break.
Well, a lot of similarities between the 2 pitchers. Both guys kind of very athletic. They both field their position well. They both like to pitch both sides of the plate, change speeds. They both seem to just have fun on the mound. You know, they don't let whatever goes on behind them affect how they pitch. And they just come back and make the next pitch.
2-1 on Jermaine. White Sox with a home run from Pierzynski in the 2nd. 2 in the 3rd. One of the runs after a Callaspo error, the other on Paul Konerko's double. Dwayne Wise driving a run home in the 4th. So 4 runs given up by Greinke in 6 innings, but 2 of them unearned. And the knees 2-2. Almost picked off because he went back in standing.
Well, good base runners, good base stealers, they want to get a step and a dive back into the base. So when you're coming back, you take that little choppy step to try to get there, then it's going to make that play a lot closer.
Diving back in this time. Tejeda reacting on the mound. He thought he picked off Sednick, but not so, says Tim McClellan.
Well, what Scott does right here, Ryan, is notice how he goes back to the outer corner of the base, and that makes the tag longer for a right-handed throwing to make that tag. If he goes back to the middle of the base or to the inside of the base, then it's easy for Billy Butler to make that tag, but they always go back to the outside corner.
Close pitch again.
Well, he's really driving the ball down into that knee area where it's just below the knee or just at the knee, but he's not getting that call. But if he can throw pitches right there, then I think that manager Trey Hillman and Bob McClure will be happy with those pitches.
Now Podsednik running for sure as Jermaine takes ball 4. So Tejeda's walked 2 in the inning. And driving the ball down in the zone has been, for the most part, a Royals specialty this year because they have still given up the fewest home runs in the American League. 68 after Brzezinski's tonight. Our next broadcast in high definition tomorrow. Early start, 11:30 with Royals Live. The first pitch at 12:10. And Luke Kochaver trying to build off of his start against the Twins. 7 shutout innings on Monday against Gavin Floyd. Brought to you in high definition by Time Warner Cable, where HD is free with digital cable. And now Jim Thome, who is 0 for 3. Inside at 96, no swing. Greg Gibson, the third base umpire. Two stats that have really shown how the Royals have improved on the mound the last several years. I mentioned the fewest home runs and the 3rd fewest walks. Doesn't seem like that long ago it was the other way around. The Royals were giving up the most home runs and around the most walks in the American League. And Trey Hillman saying it's a combination of the approach and the work of pitching coach Bob McClure, but at the same time having the right pitchers that aren't afraid to throw strikes.
You got to throw strikes, Ryan. If you're going to win at this level, you have to throw strikes. You can't pitch away from contact. You got to make hitters hit your pitch, but you got to make them hit the ball. And anytime you put free runners on the base, you're just asking for not only a big inning, but an early exit from the ball game.
Pass Cayaspo, and Guillen misplays it in right, but Sednick would have scored anyway. Dye goes first to third. It's 5-0. Thome drives in his 43rd of the year. And now Paul Konerko, who struck out his last time up in the 5th inning against Greinke, and will take a look back in the Arby's pitch by pitch.
Well, Zach was had a good running fastball right here, Ryan, and they had to slide it. It's not enticing enough. He moves it close to the plate. Konerko chases. He's intent to stay with that slider, and they finally got a pitch that kind of moved in, or the slider that kind of backed up on him, but he was content to stay with that slider to Paul Konerko.
Konerko 1 for 3 against Greinke. He has driven in a run with a double. No error on that play, by the way, as Podsednik was going to attempt to score, and Dye was going to go first to third, so no one advanced after the ball went off of Guillen's glove. At the knees, 1-1.
You cannot get hurt with that pitch. That's a pitcher's pitch, and that's one the hitter just can't do anything with it right there. If he can stay down in that zone right there, he should be okay.
Got the inside corner. Konerko knew it. And it's 1-2. Konerko's run scoring double in the third inning, giving him his 50th RBI of the year. That leads the White Sox. 97 struck him out with 2 walks, lead to a run, and it's 5-0 Chicago. To the Red Sox in the East. Shin-Soo Choo, 2 home runs, 7 RBIs. As the Indians are kicking around the A's at Progressive Field. Seattle and Boston tied at 5. Boston leading the East. 0-1 to Jose Guillen. He has grounded out, struck out against John Danks. 0-2. Royals with 3 hits, all singles. First hit coming in the third inning. And then Danks retired 11 in a row and then gave up 2 hits in the 6th. But retired Butler and disposes of Guillen quickly. 5 strikeouts for Danks, and the second time he has gotten Guillen. Texas leading Tampa Bay. Rangers a game back of the Angels. Detroit in front of Minnesota. Tigers leading the Central by 2.5 over Chicago. Later, Baltimore will be at the Angels. Luke French, who is from Salina, Kansas, has given up a couple of earned runs for the Tigers in his first major league start. That changeup is really working for Danks. Either the Royals are being stubborn and trying to prove that they can hit it, or they're just not picking it up out of his hand.
Well, he's got that same arm slide as his fastball, and that same arm speed, and the ball's coming out nice and easy, and the ball's going down and away from right-handers, and he's liking what that changeup is doing right now.
Dwayne Wise in center field gets Olivo, who's 0 for 3. So 2 down. Don't forget, StubHub.com is the official fan ticket marketplace of the Kansas City Royals. See just how easy it is to score great seats to any game at StubHub.com. And now 0-1 on Mike Jacobs. pretty good scouting report before the game tonight, Frank. John Danks is just like Mark Burley with a little better fastball. It's exactly what we've seen tonight.
We've seen the cutter, we've seen the changeup, the curveball, and we've seen him pitch both sides of the plate.
Right near the mound. Konerko calling off Danks. Royals down in order again in the 7th inning. And 7 scoreless for Danks. Here are tonight's defensive plays of the game, brought to you by the Home Depot, doing more on defense.
Well, Miguel Oliva gets Podsednik going to second base. Here he gets Dwayne Wise trying to steal third, and here he picks off Przinsky trying to go on a ball that's in the dirt. Outstanding defensive night for Miguel Oliva. He's done an outstanding job blocking the ball too, right?
Disappointing game so far for the Royals in front of a sellout crowd. And now the White Sox coming up in the 8th inning. And Roman Colon will take over for Robinson Tejeda. Tejeda giving up 1 run, 1 hit, a couple of walks in the 7th. After Greinke gave up 4 in 6 innings, 2 runs were unearned, and Zach's ERA going to an even 2. Through the right side, A.J. Przinsky has a 3-hit game. Leadoff man on. Here's Joe Goldberg.
Well, I know everybody in the Nebraska area that could get a ticket is going out to check out Alex Gordon tonight, guys, as his rehab continues in Omaha. But this was his first game in Omaha, and had a hit tonight, a couple of walks, 1 for 2. That game in the 9th right now, and New Orleans Zephyrs not really doing him a whole lot of favors. They intentionally walked him twice as he was batting second. But Alex making 1 rehab start in Omaha. Sold out crowd expected there tonight. Also John Buck 1 for 4 in that game, guys.
Well, unfortunately for Nebraskans and for the Omaha Royals, this is the end of a homestand. Otherwise, Alex might have stayed with the old Royals for a longer stretch, but they're going on the road. So Alex is going to move to Double-A and play with the Northwest Arkansas Naturals to be a little closer to home.
Well, I know that the fans on the Caravan last year were really disappointed when Alex skipped over AAA. They were really excited about him possibly spending some time there. So this is their one chance to get a glimpse of him. And as Joel said, they sell out, what's that, 24,000 seat stadium there in Rosenblatt Stadium. That's pretty good. That's a pretty good indication of what they thought about Alex Gordon in Nebraska.
the right side again. So the White Sox with 12 hits. Gets with his first. 2 on, nobody out.
Well, Cologne made a good pitch on the inner half, Ryan, but the ball was up, and when the ball is up, it's always got a chance to get hit. So he just got to get the ball down to be a little bit more effective. But the White Sox are really teeing off on all fastballs that they see, and they've been able to find that hole, especially between Butler and Caspo in right field.
Both teams wearing red hats tonight and tomorrow for the 4th of July. Slider for strike 1 on Gordon Beckham. 1 out of 3. Doubled against Greinke in the 4th inning. Scored on Dwayne Wise base hit. Chance for 2. Pena had to play that through Pierzynski, and the Royals turn it. Well, you know as an infielder how difficult that can be to find that ball when the runner is leaping over it.
Well, that's an awful tough play right there. Plus, this ball is hit hard, too, and you can tell it. He really had to hold him back, and he didn't really get a good read on it into his glove, and he really almost – see how that ball went off to his side there and just almost didn't make that transition to his bare hand. But, yeah, that is a tough play. And a smart hitter, a smart base runner like Pierzynski, he'll stay there to the last minute and try to blind the fielder, and he did a good job, and Tony did a good job concentrating right there.
So 2 down. Pierzynski at third. Dwayne Wise 1 for 3. He's driven home a run. Going for it all. 1 ball, 1 strike. Jamie and I were talking about this last night. Whoever would have thought Aaron Rowan would be so difficult to replace in center field for the White Sox, leaving after the Sox won the World Series in '05 and going to the Phillies in a trade, and now at the Giants. But they have run everyone out there. Podsednik. They have used Dwayne Wise, Ryan Anderson, Jerry Owens.
Well, good players are hard to replace. That's just how it is. Once you establish yourself and you reach that all-star status, so to speak, then these guys are hard to replace. You just don't replace them like that, because you're talking about more than just playing defense. You're talking about the offensive side of the game and the ability to control the situation. Center field is like a captain. He's got to make sure that he keeps the double play in order and control the outfield. So those guys are hard to replace.
Right to Caspo, down to a knee just to make sure. And the inning is over. 2 hits, no runs for Chicago in the 8th. 2010 Fusion or the hot new 2010 Mustang at Thoroughbred Ford. And by Nike, it's about you. Nice cool night at the ballpark. 77 degrees at first pitch. Not bad for the 3rd of July. Temperatures in the 80s tomorrow for the 4th of July at 12:10 first pitch.
This day is a real nice pick-me-up.
Hernandez into right center. Hernandez has half of the Royals' hits tonight. 2 out of 3.
Well, when he's in there, Ryan, he doesn't try to do too much. He just tries to go with the pitch and try to stay behind it. He lets the ball get out over the plate and just blooped it in the center field. But the approach that he has is just, if I'm left-handed, hit the ball to left field. If I'm right-handed, go to right field.
And Meyer pulls it just foul past first base umpire Tim McClellan.
Well, these kind of breaks you really like to get when you're not swinging the bat well. And Tim McClellan, he was pretty casual with that, getting out of the way there. I think he's smiling too.
Now he knows what it's like when he's the home plate umpire and the hitter is trying to jump back at a pitch that's coming in 90+ miles an hour inside.
Well, a lot of these umpires, they have to get ready just like the infielders, and if they get caught flat-footed out there, sometimes it could be to their detriment.
Didn't mean to go around. Down to second. No. They're going to say that Jason Nix did not have control of it, and he's very close to being thrown out of the game. Andy Fletcher getting right back in his face. Nix saying that it was as he was transferring from glove hand to ball hand, and I think Andy Fletcher is saying, here's why I'm upset. This is what your guy said to me.
Well, that's true, and I tell you that throw right there, Ryan, when that ball starts to sink and you have to turn your glove over, that's a tough play. That's when you got to just get one out and just give up on the double play right there.
That's a good call. He did not have control of that ball.
You can see the ball roll up his glove and just right outside of his hand there. So, but that's a play right there. Once you get set to have your glove facing the target, and all of a sudden you got to turn your hands over real quick, that's going to be a tough ball to handle. Ball sinking back to your right side, and he should just make sure he just got that one out and then not worry about the two. And that's where we go back to managing the game, knowing when to do something, when not to do something.
Now Pena breaks his bat. Infield fly rule. Nix retires Pena, who's 0 for 3. That was an error charge to Nix on the ground ball from Meyer. So Pena's down. 2 on 1 out for DeJesus. David has grounded out twice and single. A little bit inside. We told you that Danks was already pitching well before coming into this start. In his last 4 starts before tonight, an ERA of 1.91, 7 innings or more in all 4 of those starts, and fewer hits than innings pitched in all 4 of those starts. And tonight, 7 1/3 innings. And he has given up 4 hits, all singles. Scott Linebrink warming up behind him as Danks is right now at 100 pitches. Two and 1. 2-2. Now, as well as the Texas Rangers are playing now, and as much as their pitching has improved, you got to think that there are still some in that organization that have had some sleepless nights, wondering how it would be if they still had John Danks.
Well, when you go in for offense and you sacrifice pitching, it's always going to come back to hurt you. And they made some questionable moves over the years with their pitching just to get better offense, only to have the same thing happen. You end up losing in the end.
Hernandez at second, Meyer at first. And to Jesus off the fist into shallow right, and Dye will play it on a bounce. Dye sold it, so the runners can only move up one base, and they're loaded up for Callaspo.
Well, we always say, Ryan, it's not bad to get jammed sometimes, and David did a good job staying on that ball and pushed it out in the right center, down the right field line. Jermaine did a good job selling it as if he was catching it. That froze the runners a little bit, and now the Royals are sitting there with a bases loaded situation and one out.
So Linebrink in to face Callaspo with the bases loaded. Scott Linebrink. Bases loaded, one out with Callaspo coming up. So Danks 7 1/3 innings. A couple of blue pits and an error on what could have been a double play on the ground ball for Mitch Meyer. The White Sox have scored 2 of their 5 runs because of an error by Alberto Callaspo. Now he has a chance to make up for that. And here's one of the reasons for the change. Now Danks was over 100 pitches, but Alberto is much better from the right side of the plate, and this forces him to bat left-handed. Ball one inside. Alberto was 1 for 3 against Danks with a single.
And the one thing he can do if he leaves the ball down in the middle, he's got the ability to turn on it left-handed if he keeps his body back and don't try to swing and run at the same time.
Change up makes it 1-1. Two balls, one strike.
You know, Castro has the ability to turn on a fastball, but he's got to stay back and let his hands work for him and get his body out of the way. And this is against Cleveland, and you can see right there a good fastball up a little bit in the zone, and he does have the power to drive the ball down the right field line.
And now 3 balls, 1 strike. Grand slam coming against Carl Pavano.
And this is where, Ryan, he's got to really be careful here. Look for his pitch, a pitch that he can do something with, and don't just swing it because of the strike, because he's got to spot his pitch here.
Up the middle, out at second, double play. Was that his pitch?
A little bit away from him, right? Because something middle in, somebody could just really try to turn on and try to drive in the right center field.
Committed an error, which has led to a couple of unearned runs, and then with the bases loaded, gets into a double play, which kicked off the mound, and that may have helped Jason Nix up the middle. But you were talking about, was he looking for his pitch, and that pitch was up and away?
Right. You want to try to center something that you could possibly pull in the right center field, get in the air, and if you don't get it on that pitch, now you can go after a pitch like that on 3-2.
Juan Cruz will pitch the top of the 9th. Jumps ahead of Scott Podsednik. Double plays have just killed the Royals the past few days. They've hit into 1 tonight, but 3 in the game last night and 3 against the Twins on Wednesday. Podsednik 3 for 3 with a walk. So on base 4 times. He's scored twice. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Zach Greinke went 6 innings, gave up 4 runs. 2 of those were unearned. Robinson Tejeda, 1 run in 1 inning. Roman Colon, a scoreless inning. And down goes Podsednik. So the only way to get him out tonight is to get him to chase a pitch that isn't a strike.
Well, he's really made the most of his opportunity with the White Sox, Ryan. He just is using everything he can as a hitter. He's driving the ball a little bit better in the left center field. He's taking the breaking ball and pulling him in the right center field. So he's using the whole field, and you know, only probably one negative is from a stolen base standpoint. He's about 500 on stolen bases, but in the past he was a little bit better than that.
He's had a 70 stolen base season. And now Nix 0 for 4 with a couple of strikeouts tonight at the plate and 2 pop-ups. But is breathing a lot easier now. It was his error that helped the Royals mount a rally in the bottom of the 8th inning. Bases loaded, 1 out, but was able to redeem himself, fielding that ground ball from Piaspo and starting a double play. Two and one. Balls, 2 strikes. Boy, Kauffman Stadium is a beautiful sight tonight. Fans waiting for the fireworks after the game, a sellout crowd, and I've been just kind of glancing around the ballpark. You know, some people will leave early, but it is tough to find an empty seat anywhere. Guillen in right. So Nix is 0 for 5. 2 down in the 9th inning. And now Jermaine Dye, who was singled, walked twice, and scored a run.
Yeah, Ron, like you said on the stadium itself, it's going to take some time to get used to seeing people out in the outfield area. I mean, that's just something that hasn't never happened here, but it seems like that area fills up quickly in every ball game, and they always give you the appearance that, you know, there's a full house here at Kauffman Stadium, but it's really neat to see the fans really enjoying all aspects of the stadium.
And that was a concern because one of the great trademarks of this ballpark was the beautiful green grass and the fountains. So even if there was a small crowd, there was still that beautiful sight out there. So those seats are a great location. But you certainly don't want to look out at empty seats if we have a small crowd. But that area has been packed all season.
And I think they're priced right, too. It's priced good, and they really going to love it on those hot days.
Pena calling off Hernandez. Cruz works a 1-2-3-9 to the bottom half. Butler, Guillen, Olivo coming up. Live with Joel Goldberg and Jamie Quirk from this location inside Rival Sports Bar out in right field, which, just like the rest of the ballpark, is packed tonight. Brought to you by Boulevard Brewing Company, Kansas City's beer. Defensive changes for the White Sox. Brian Anderson into center field. Dwayne Wise, who was in center, moves over to right field. So Jermaine Dye, who made the final out of the top of the 9th, is out. So Anderson in center, Wise in right, and Billy Butler leading off the bottom of the 9th against Scott Linebrink. We got the final 2 outs of the bottom of the 8th, getting Piaspo to ground into a double play. 0-1 to Butler. Billy 0 for 3 tonight and 0 for 7 in the series. Second night in a row, the Royals are trying to avoid a shutout in the ninth. They accomplished that last night. Callaspo and DeJesus with doubles against Mark Burley, and then Bobby Jenks closing it out. Royals scored 4 runs on Monday at the beginning of this homestand and beating Minnesota 4-2. As Butler hits a smash into left field. Leadoff man on in the ninth.
Billy just picked on a changeup right here, Ryan. The ball ran back into his bat, and he just been able to drive it in between the shortstop and the third baseman. He waited on that ball good. Ball. But those changeups, they throw the right-handers that won't turn over. They just run right back into the bat.
0-1 to Guillen. 0 for 3 against Danks with a couple of strikeouts. So 4 runs Monday, but the Royals scored 1 on Tuesday, 1 on Wednesday, 1 last night, and trying to avoid the shutout tonight. Late on that fastball, it's 0-2. Guillen 1 for 5 against Linebrink, but the 4 times that Linebrink has retired Guillen, he has struck him out.
He's got that good running fastball. Also, he's got that good split finger, too, that he can use.
Glance off his helmet, it did. The breaking ball got away from him. You always lose your breath when the ball gets up around the hitter's head, but either glanced off the helmet or the top of his shoulder.
Well, it looks like it might have got the top of the shoulder, but Jose did a great job in turning his head away from that pitch. A lot of hitters are turned to the pitch, and that opens them up to be hit, but he did a great job getting his head out of the way on that backup curveball.
So 2 on, nobody out for Olivo. For 3, 2 fly outs to center field and a strikeout, and he is hitless so far in the series. 0 for 6. 2-0. Royals had a chance to get back into it in the 8th inning. 2 hits, had some help with an error by shortstop Jason Nix, and with the bases loaded, 1 out, Linebrink replacing Danks, and got Callaspo to hit into a double play on a 3-1 pitch. Three and 1.
Well, Olivo Ryan is in the same spot that Callaspo was in his last inning. It's his pitch. His strength is middle in. He's got to look for a pitch that he can drive right here. If it's not there, he can afford to take it and then wait for 3 and 2.
Up the middle. Gets low throw to Nix, but they still turn the double play. 2 innings in a row with men on base, and a 3-1 pitch results in a double play.
Well, Jose Guillen did everything he could to try to break this up. He almost waited a little bit too late. Nix really dropped down low and tried to get Guillen down, and that was what he's supposed to do. He's supposed to throw the ball through the runner and not around the runner, and he did a great job. But Jose Guillen did everything he could to try to break this double play up.
The Royals have hit into 8 double plays in the last 3 games. 8.
Well, that 3-1 pitch is a selective count where you can look for your pitch in your area, but That ball was away from Olivo, down a little bit, and then he beat it in the ground for the double play.
Fortunate to be pitching with a big lead. He's been falling behind the hitters, making good pitches when he's behind in the count, but nonetheless falling behind Cayaspo, giving up a single and a hit batter here in the ninth, falling behind Olivo, falling behind Jacobs. Pops it up to center. Anderson is there, and the White Sox have taken the first 2 games of this series. Royals are shut out tonight, 5-0.